I mean, he is my father. I mean, he's the man that taught me how to ride a bike, and now it's like simple tasks like making coffee he no longer remembers. And you're just like, where is that man that I knew like 5 years ago? And he's not there, and it's hurt me. Like, sorry. But I know that what we do clearly helps, you know, just raising awareness and letting people know that this is real, that it's out there, and it can happen just to anybody. Like, I would have never, ever in a million years thought it would have happened to my father. Like, the man that I thought, that I still know is this incredible, loving man. Like, I still see the way he raised me, even now when I see him as his mind slowly disintegrates. Like, I know that in there, he's still that lively soul that raised me and cares. And even though he doesn't remember simple things like where I go to school and stuff, I know that he still loves me, and I know that, like, even though the mind forgets, the heart doesn't.
All I can say is thank God for the Alzheimer's Association and for the efforts that they've been putting forth, not only to fund research. Alzheimer's is already the third most costly disease in the U.S., in fact, in most countries. If we can't make major progress towards treating it effectively within the next couple of decades, it will outstrip by far the cost of all other diseases by the middle of this century. In fact, there's some debate about whether it's already maybe the second most costly disease.
It was really my junior year in high school when I really realized, like, wow, he has Alzheimer's. He was still my grandfather, though, and I loved him. And I think my toughest transition was when I went to college and he was moving to a assisted living home, and that was just really tough. It doesn't just affect the person who has the disease, it affects the whole family.
I'd say right now we're only at the beginning of a phase of Alzheimer's research in which we're understanding some of the biochemical and molecular mechanisms that contribute to it, that underlie it, at a level that we understand for cancer and AIDS, for example. So we've got a lot of catching up to do.
Alzheimer's remains the 6th leading cause of death, and unfortunately the only leading cause of death in the top 10 that has no real effective treatments in terms of modifying the disease, certainly no cure and no prevention. Over 5 million Americans are dealing with Alzheimer's or dementia today, and literally every 67 seconds, a new American is hearing the diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia.
The fact that we have new targets to go after, not just amyloid. The fact that there may well be peripheral markers, that is, markers in blood or in cells in the blood, that would speed diagnosis of the disorder are things that I think most people in the field are looking at very, very carefully. I do think the biggest difference is that while we have spoken of prevention for a long time, we have spoken about it in the context of when we have better tools, we will be able to think about or do prevention trials. And we've reached that point.
Everyone needs a lot of support. And I think that with the Alzheimer's Association, the person can feel a lot of support in groups such as the art or in groups going to listen to the music. Always being supported by a group, I think that's so important.
I know she's working with music and art, and actually, right after one of her sessions, she came up to Charlottesville with my mom, and she knew who I was. She was having conversations. She knew what my brother was doing in school, at least for that day, and that was something I hadn't seen in a long time.
Employers are beginning to feel the impact of Alzheimer's, where 15% of their employees are dealing with Alzheimer's or dementia from that caregiver seat. And that's causing them to be late to work, need to leave early from work, take an extended lunch hour, and in many instances actually change their jobs to make room for those caregiving responsibilities. On the financial front, for every $1 this country is investing in research to cure, prevent, and treat Alzheimer's and dementia, we're spending $290 already today in Medicaid and Medicare treatments.
The relative amounts of funding that we have for Alzheimer's disease do not match those of disorders that we believe have some of the same impact on the population as does Alzheimer's disease. Is something we would like to correct, not by robbing Peter to pay Paul, but figuring out some other way because of the huge investment that needs to be made in the disease to gain more funding. The point that we are now spending so much money on care of people with the disease, and that is going to get larger, suggests that we need to be able to put more money in toward trying to stop that increase in funding necessary for care so that we decrease it by slowing down or stopping the disease. That will take a big effort.
But I think it is really exciting, though, to see that the nation is finally saying, you know, we need to do something about this, and there's a lot of exciting research going on. And I think it is important to go back to Congress every year just to remind the people you elect that this is an issue that's important to me, and this is going to be a big issue for the American people over the next hundreds of years unless this is taken care of.